Going to do a live stream about AdWords. Today, I've been working for a customer analysing their data, which is this. I won't show that to you. Their data from AdWords. So how many clicks they get, paid clicks, how many clicks they get, how many impressions, how many times the ad was shown, conversions. You really shouldn't run an AdWords campaign without conversion data. Out of the traffic, how many people did something meaningful on certain parts of your website. And how much it costs, obviously. Married in with the sales data. Okay, so altogether, I've got my traffic. That means nothing. That makes no money until they convert. And then I have sales data. Why you should always revisit this stuff is it's not which is why they pay me every month to do this. It's not a fixed thing. It's a constant shifting, moving battle. So if you are high up for a keyword, and a lot of this data is very public data, you can download this information quite easily. Other people's AdWords campaigns, I do that quite a lot for people. They give me a competitor name. I go and strip off what their AdWords campaign is, which AdWords they use, which keywords, gives me some traffic estimates, even gives me estimates of how much competitors pay, which is pretty useful information. Anyway, my point being, it's a moving feast. If I'm ranking well for a keyword, it's in the public domain to some extent, which means other people will know, and they'll overbid me. It's an auction. It's a bit more complicated than that. You need to have quality score, which, the pages you send people to with keywords need to be related and so on. It's not as simple as I just pay, but that's what I'm going to talk about. If I rank for something, I'm doing well, people notice, they pay more. I move down a place. I mentioned this before, that, if you take the top 3 results in Google, in the results list, first one gets about 20% of the clicks, goes down to about 10 on the second one. That's half the traffic. And you're down to about 6. That's like a third of the traffic. Then into nothings, really, 1s, 2%. So to move down a place in Google AdWords paid ranking is a big deal. Big deal. So they pay me to understand the data, what's happening at any time. I'll check in once a week and see what's happening. There's a difference between relying on automation and seeing what's happening. I always say to people, if you feel like something has fallen off the cliff, if you feel like sales have fallen, just tell me that. If it might not be in the data, it might look like you've got lots of traffic and everything's fine, but if you feel like things have quietened down, they probably have, and there's probably a good reason. So tell me. That's what I'll call primary type information that I don't get from data. It's subjective feelings. I do not discount feelings in AdWords analysis at all. Okay. So anyway, I go on today to do the check, looking for a pattern, see a pattern, weaknesses and strengths, right? So if we've gone down, I will notice. If we've gone up, great, right? But we go on so we can make improvements. Each time I log in, we will do something different. We won't just look at it and go, oh, there's the data, whatever. We will make an improvement, or we'll try something. And that is what AdWords management is. We look for patterns, clues in the data that say, if I move money that I pay on this part of the campaign to these keywords, I get an exponential improvement. I get more results, conversions, for the same amount of money. That is the goal here, to increase the conversion rate and keep our money the same. So then we can increase our funding and make more conversions. So I go and look at the data, and I'll tell you the clues today, as that's what this is, right? Day-to-day digital. I'll tell you the clues today. I'm looking down there, and I see that we are doing brilliantly on this particular product, this keyword phrase. Apparently. So from conversion data, we appear to be doing brilliantly. Conversions can be, I've went to the inquiry form, I looked at a product page, a sale, could be anything. It says, here I am, I spent however much money, hundreds of pounds, and we had, I don't know, maybe 50 conversions. It's about £1 a conversion. Anyway, I look down there and I think, well, that's great. We must have sold loads of that product. But then I have the real life data. I'm looking at it and I align the two. So I see when real sales happened not necessarily linked to AdWords. Okay, I know what anyone who's got anything to do with AdWords is thinking right now. They're thinking you can link the two up. I can see tracking from an AdWord click to a purchase online. I do take that into account. However, that's not necessarily what happened, is it? They might not have purchased online, they might have rung up. So I look at real sales data, real life, and compare it. So I look at this list, it's like, this product looks great. We've got however many hundreds of pounds we spent on pay-per-click. When I mean say we, I mean them. Loads of conversions, looks great. Look down the sales column, 0. That's a pattern. That's a blooming blatant pattern, which is this campaign looks good from an AdWords perspective, data-wise. But in real life, those conversions did not become money, which means we are spending 200 and what is it? Hundreds of pounds. For what? I'd rather spend that money somewhere else, which does convert, which brings me on to the other piece of paper. So I go and look at another part of the campaign thinking, well, that's interesting. You know, that's a good month and a half of data. You want a month and a half of data. You wouldn't make a conclusion with less than a month and a half of data. You look at that and you go, well, that's interesting. So that money doesn't really work. So I can take that money and put it somewhere else and make it work. So look down the other list, and then I've got this strange anomaly pattern. You only get these patterns by looking, right? Data won't tell you this. Data will give you patterns which don't really mean anything. They're data patterns. I want sales in relation to time, in relation to the campaign that was run and keywords. What's the word? Hotspots. Patterns. So I look down here and go, well, that's interesting. We've got this product keyword that we spend a certain amount of money on. How much we spend on this one? More, double, hundreds of pounds. It's the same product keyword, right? I won't tell you what it is, but let's say it's, I don't know, let me think. Red book. Okay, let's say we sell red books. It's not, but let's say we do. I look at down the list and it says red book conversions 5. It says red books plural 16. And then I look at how much it all costs. Remember, that's kind of the same keyword, right? Red book, red books, plural. And I look down and I'm like, well, that's interesting because I pay, let's say, £20 per conversion for the singular, and I pay £8 per conversion for the plural. That means in my budget, that's how much I spend before anyone converts. Doesn't mean sale, conversion. And I look at that and go, that's bizarre. Technical term. That's bizarre. The plural version of red books, red books, outperforms the singular by a factor of 3. If I spend the same money on both, I get 3 times as many conversions for the plural. You wouldn't really get that, would you, unless you actually looked down and analysed it in the context of sales data, real sales data. Because I'm like, well, okay, why don't I just shift all the money into the plural? It makes no sense. It should make no sense. They're the same thing. A searcher types in the singular, a searcher types in the plural. It makes no sense that one would be 2/3 cheaper and would convert 3 times as many people, if you see what I mean. However, the data is the clue. Then we trial it and see if it makes a difference. And if it doesn't, we go back. So that's what we're going to do. And then look again, actually, just out of interest, stick with red book. We have 2 types of red book in the business. And I look for the singular and they buy type A exclusively in the data. And I look on the plural and they buy type B. Makes no sense. You wouldn't think it was significant, but it's statistically significant. So we come up with another trial. And that's an output of this type of visit into AdWords data with real sales data and you compare the two. You say, where is the pattern? That's time. When this happened, what was going on? When that happened, what was going on? And you look for a change, an improvement that you can make. And in the context of today's AdWords management work I've been doing, this is what we will do. We will push the money away from single red book into the keywords for red books because it performs 3 times as well. That's a no-brainer. To try, right? Don't work, we'll go back. Now, once I've done that and I've put more emphasis, moved more budget into the plural to trial that, I then have this other product, which had no conversions that we spent hundreds of pounds on, that is just spending money. Well, I'm going to move all of that in as well. Because, and this is my point, and then I'll be quiet because I'm going to speak in 10 minutes. You only know it works if you make a significant change. If I make a drab change, 5 or 10, you don't know. If I am spending £200 and then I move it up to 600, you will notice. You will feel the difference. If nothing happens, there's no business there. We move it somewhere else. Hope that all made sense. That's AdWords management in a real world sense. We use real sales data. We marry it up to the time of the data from AdWords, pay-per-click data and so on, the conversion data, and we look for patterns. That is a judgment call. That is analysis. That is not number crunching. That's it.